I think I kind of wanted to grow too fast. I ended up kind of losing control.
Yeah.
And as I lost control, a lot of things also fell in with that. So now I'm like, let's grow, but let's grow at a snail's pace. Like who am I racing besides myself
Yep.
in this situation?
We're in different positions, but take it from me, man. I've been there where it's too big to control, too big, too fast. I've had people, large companies reach out like, hey, bro, how did you, just in 6-7 years, how did you grow to 32 plus employees? Not easy. You know, you do lose grasp of quality and communication down the chain and everything. I mean, it's very, very hard to sustain something that big when there isn't very proper systems in place. And that's what I don't have accurate, very sophisticated systems where I can just hand a baton and hand a brochure to people and people will do exactly what needs to be done. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stay Shining, Stay Grinding podcast. This is your host, Jose Gallegos, with my co-host,
Carlos Castro. What's everybody doing?
What's going on, man?
It's been a minute.
What is going on?
It's been a minute.
I feel like I haven't seen you for like a month, bro.
I don't think we've seen. Yeah, we haven't seen each other for that long. Well, I mean, you had a bit of a slowdown, and then that kind of stopped some of the visits that we usually take, because we usually work with each other once a week.
Yeah.
And then
the last one you did yourself. That's why I wasn't available or something.
You got sick. You got the famous vid, and then yeah. That's pretty much what it's been. It's been the slowdown, and then after the slowdown you got sick, and then now we're here.
Yeah. Welcome back.
We got pushed back a little bit too. We were supposed to meet a few days ago, and then we got pushed back a couple days now.
Yeah, so. Things always happen.
Yeah.
Part of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, well, welcome back, guys. I mean, what's new, man? How are you liking your new home?
The transition was a bit of a headache.
Really?
Moving is not fun. And it's a lot of work, especially if you have 4 people. Like, it's my wife and 2 kids, and she probably won't listen to this, but they have a lot of shit. Like, I looked at the amount of stuff that I had, and then compared to how much she had and the kids had, I was like,
damn,
you guys have a lot of crap. But yeah, the whole process of moving was just a lot of work. We spent like a whole entire weekend just moving, and then throughout the week we're just chipping away. We're still chipping away. Like, we still have boxes stacked in our house, and like, we can't just pause on life. And you know, the kids started school that weekend. That week right after we moved. So we moved that weekend. They started school on Monday.
Damn.
So like, we had to go running. Like, it was just literally like we hit the ground running. And you know, my wife right now, Shayna, she's not going to school right now. She's teaching right now, but she's not going to school.
Mm-hmm.
So she's kind of chipping away at the moment. Me, you know, I have to work, so I'm kind of like, whenever I have time or need a distraction, which has been useful, I go and build something or put something up or hang something. Like, it's been fun. I mean, overall, I like the house. It's a 3-story condo. So it's 3 stories. There's the main story, which is the front door, and then there's a room that we converted into an office, and then there's a garage, and then you go up the middle story, and then the middle story is the living room. There's a half bathroom in there, and then a kitchen, and then you go up to the 3rd story, and the 3rd story has 2 bedrooms and the laundry room. And I mean, I like it. Wife likes it, the kids like it, so we're pretty happy with it. We did have some like difficulties with like the property there is like considered a private property.
Okay.
So there's parking slots in front of the houses, but you have to have a permit for it.
Oh, okay.
And with the situation with this place, getting a permit is a freaking headache.
Oh shoot.
So yesterday when I text you and said, hey, was it yesterday? No, yeah, it was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yesterday when I texted you and said, hey, like, Shayna's car got towed is because of the permit situation.
Oh,
So we had to get her car. Oh man, it was a mess. It was a mess, and financially it was expensive, and
getting towed is never cheap.
it's not.
It's
And
never cheap.
and we emailed the company. Or she emailed the company that handles all the permitting stuff, and she's like, she chewed him out.
Yeah, yeah,
She was like, bro, like we need our permits. Like we're paying all this money to live there. Now we're paying extra money just to get some stupid permit that says we're in the process of waiting for the permit. Like
yeah,
it's ridiculous. So we dealt with that yesterday, and then I mean overall, like the experience of going to like a new county and a new place is different. We used
yeah,
to live there in Fullerton back in the day, and it was cool, but it was just a different atmosphere. It was a completely different. It's like feeling like the feeling of like moving out of your hometown and then like going out and living life and then moving back to your hometown. It's not Fullerton is not my hometown, but it's definitely like Fullerton is the first place that I moved out of my parents' house. Like
yeah.
that's the first
I
place I
remember.
moved into. Um, it was my first place that I ever had to like learn some actual adulting skills, like
Yeah,
some real adulting skills, and like so to come back to the same area where like I kind of learned a lot of things about adulting in general,
yeah.
like feels good to be able to be there, and like it's very nostalgic. Like do you know what nostalgia
I
means?
don't.
So nostalgia is like when you are present in a moment that like reminds you of something in the past. So
Oh,
like
okay.
let's say there's a freaking liquor store down the street that you and your friends used to go to before you guys went to go party or something,
Yeah,
and you like drive by it and like you kind of that memory kind of popped back in, like, oh, I remember when me and my buddies used to come here.
like deja vu,
Yeah,
kind of.
like not really. It's not really. It's more of a feeling, of a mental feeling. Like it's something that
Rather
you're
than a
aware
memory.
of. Yeah.
Deja vu is more
No,
memory,
deja vu
no?
is more of like a feeling that like
Oh,
I feel like I've been in this
oh,
situation
okay, okay.
before. When nostalgia is more like driving by somewhere that you used to hang out and like remembering about those positive
Oh,
memories that like you had at that moment. So when since we moved, I have had a lot of like nostalgic like experiences, and I mean it's funny, like it really does shed a lot of light because like I said, when I was living there previously, like I was broke, like I had a 9 to 5, like I didn't have money for gas, like so many obstacles
yeah,
happened in that area, and then just being there now as a business owner and like being okay in life and being okay financially, like it just gives you a different effect. It gives you a
yeah.
different feeling. It
Of
feels
course.
good. Yeah. And then being able to live in Orange County is also another like thing. Like
Exactly.
fortunate, like good thing my wife, she makes her money, and she's currently getting her PhD, and she knows how to pull money out of God knows where with all these like grants and stuff that she gets from, education. And then in my case, like, I'm more of a freaking hard knock. I'm
Hustling and
I'm
bustling,
trying to
man.
hustle a little harder. I mean, not even a little harder, just hustle in general. So right now, currently, I'm kind of just adjusting to the move. It's only been a few weeks.
Yeah.
So right now, just kind of adjusting to the move. And then I feel eventually got to hit the ground running with, branding myself in Orange County. I don't want to like gain a lot of clients. Like in the past, like month and a half, I've had a lot of experiences where like I'm like, do I really want to grow like super huge, or do I
Yeah.
just want to be in a place where I can manage what I have and build a brand and a reputation that is sustainable? Like, because I can try to be like huge and be like, oh, I have 20 clients,
Yeah.
but like eventually when you get too big, the quality control starts to diminish,
It is.
and it
It
gets
does.
it gets difficult. I mean, you have experience in that. You can tell me if it's true or not, but
Bigger is not better, guys.
yeah, so I was like, I'm very quality based. Like my work is something that I pride myself in. So like previously in the past, I kind of tried to started to like grow the company, and I feel like I was taking measures that were more of chasing the money and not focusing so much on the service.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to notice that the quality started to decrease.
Yeah.
So almost the fact that I stopped working with certain people and like cut the ties, like I feel like it was also a learning experience, and it was also an opportunity to look at the reality of where I stand.
Yeah.
And I was looking at my work in the past and I'm like, if I were to be some random guy and I saw that post, I would look at it and be like, this is kind of not so good. Like, so
Yeah.
then recently what I've been doing is like so the whole like social media trend of like posting the freaking 10-second videos, the 30-second videos,
Yeah. Yeah.
fast paced stuff, like it took me a while to adjust because I'm very cinematic. I'm very perfectionist. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it took me a while to kind of understand that and accept that. So what I did is my way of storytelling and my way of communicating through videography or photography, I had to play that with the current times that's going on right now, which is that like, 10-second to like 30-second videos. So recently in the last couple of weeks, I've been spending a little more extra time editing stuff and engaging a little more to make it fit the current state that it is in right now, and something that I can also be proud of.
Okay.
So I feel like previously I was trying to play a lot of cat and mouse
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
the rat race, that as they say. And I said, you know what? Like, this is not me. My brand and what I do is my brand and what I do. I don't want to be just another media or marketing company out there that just follows the trends. Like, if you like my work for my work, then you like my work for my work, not for the fact that I'm part of this trend that everyone's following.
Yeah.
So, in that experience of you know, getting of losing people and cutting those ties has taught me to maybe staying a little bit smaller, having less clients, um, and kind of just keeping that control of creativity
Yeah.
at the moment, because I think I kind of wanted to grow too fast, and then I ended up kind of losing control.
Yeah.
And as I lost control, a lot of things also fell in with that. So now I'm like, let's grow, but let's grow at a snail pace. Like, who am I racing besides myself
Yep.
in this situation?
That's a good way to look at it. And then you go also back to authenticity, keeping it
Yeah.
really authentic, keep it the brand as original as you first envisioned it. Because you're right, it's easy to drift away into, I want to grow this whale, this beast, or this,
Mhm.
but we're in different positions. But take it from me, man. I've been there where it's too big to control, too big, too fast. I mean, I've had people, large companies reach out like, hey, bro, how did you, just in 6 7 years, how did you grow to 32 plus employees? Not easy. You do lose grasp of quality and communication down the chain and everything. I mean, it's very, very hard to sustain something that big when there isn't very proper systems in place.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't have accurate, very sophisticated systems where I can just hand a baton and hand a brochure to people and people will do exactly what needs to be done. I mean, that's not where I stand yet. So, it did take the growth and then the comeback down a little bit less to kind of understand that. But, been there, done that, been here, and now I'm in the correcting process of reevaluating and reinstating like where all the authenticity is for Vivid. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's right on, man. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I moved and I like learned so many things, you know. I think every time you need a refresher to kind of help reignite the fire, or not even reignite the fire, but just kind of like reset the spark, like, or like get you to that next level, like where like you feel you've reached a certain area that is just stagnant, and then this whole move kind of just changed the whole environment for us and for me, and I got motivated by the move. So, I'm super motivated. I'm super grateful. I'm motivated. I'm happy. Um, and I enjoy the challenge. Like, I honestly enjoy the challenge. I feel sometimes some people, when certain challenges arise, they run away from the challenge.
yeah,
I have the tendencies of doing that. So don't think that I'm this grandiose guy that is gonna say, "Well, I run towards it." Like, no, there's times where like I've had a challenge and I've ran, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, "Wait, what am I? Turn around,
Yeah.
like go." So there is no reason to have a challenge or come across something that you find scary. I know a lot of men have the tendencies of
Yeah.
not using that word scary, like at some age in your life you're supposed to stop using that word, but when you're in situations that are scary, if you need to run for the first few days, it's okay, run, but don't continue to run. At
Exactly.
some point turn around, because at some point you're gonna know that you're running. Like
Exactly.
you're conscious of it. We're adults here. You know, if you have a business and you're running, or if you're in a situation that you find is difficult and you're running, if you're past the age of 25, you're very conscious of what's going on. I'm talking to the men, talking to the boys out there. Like, if you're
Yep.
past the age of 25, you're conscious of what's going on. So there's no reason why you're just continuously running or continuously hitting the same wall and wondering why you're hitting the same wall or
Yep.
why you're running. Like, bro, you're running because you're choosing to run. And a lot of it's fear based. I feel a lot of challenges come from like the fear of the unknown, you know?
Of course.
That's a big one. So I've been heading on towards like the challenge of moving, the challenge of having to pay more rent, the challenge of having to pay more bills. Like, it's scary, yes, but what am I and who am I to say that I'm incapable of doing that?
Exactly.
If I'm capable of building what I've been building thus far, which is a company that will last, I don't know how long, but I know that media ain't going nowhere.
Mhm.
I know that, videos and movies and whatever, anything that has to do with, whatever I do, it's not going to go anywhere. People are still going to stick to their phones and go on TikTok and Instagram. And like the only thing that's going to change is the trend.
Yep.
So who am I to say as a media company that I'm incapable of facing these challenges and growing and going further? So, it's taught this, like, dude, this move and the time that, we've spent apart, has I've had a lot of like aha moments. I have
Yeah.
had a lot of pops. I tell my kids that at a certain age in your life, you're gonna hear a pop, and the pop is when your head comes out of your ass. You're gonna hear that pop. They're still waiting on it. But like, sometimes you have to kind of go through some challenges and some changes and some shifts to kind of like I don't know, get that
Turn on the
navigate.
light bulb.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's crazy. I mean, what about you? I've been taking like control of this situation, but I mean, what about you? We the last time we met, you were kind of in a jam, and then you got sick, and we've have kept some sort of a distance because the move for me was a lot, dealing with that was a lot,
Yeah.
and then your situation was a lot, so you had to put head first in that. So what's going on? How's the scenario? I'm sure a lot of people are interested.
Well, in a jam, I'm always in a jam, brother.
I mean, this is
I
a
mean,
pile up jam,
it's
bro.
yeah. I mean, I'm starting to see the clarity. You know what I mean? Um, been quickly trying to resolve everything, moving forward, uh, digging through the troubles and the problems, and getting through them, sorting them out one by one. As they say, snowball effect. But yeah, I mean, it's moving forward. The important thing, guys, is moving forward. That's the number one thing. Um, hasn't been easy, never will be easy. It's always a learning experience every time. But we're moving forward. We're learning. We're progressing. We're seeing where the problems were. We're seeing where we could fix the problems. We're applying things left and right on a day-to-day basis. Work's picking up. We've been getting some good, some pretty good deals, signed contracts. Lawn care just keeps growing. It's all just, it's good. I can't complain. Like you said, we're figuring it out. We're in the trenches just like everybody else. Um, and it's just problem solving, moving ahead. That's all it is.
What have you learned from this experience? Because I feel this is the first time you've had a certain challenge like this that has been this drastic. Honestly, this was. I mean, I haven't seen you in this position mentally, you know, at all. To be honest, so what have you learned from this experience that you're taking with you presently, like today? Because you're not thinking the same way. Of course, I'm 100% sure you're not thinking the
Yeah.
same way Jose was thinking 2 3 months ago.
No, not at all.
So what has changed? What have you learned from, not in like the, you don't have to give me the full spectrum, but like
Yeah, yeah.
personally, what have you learned?
So basically, I mean, it all just comes down to understanding the mindset. You know, like it's very easy. You know, it's like we're gonna ask, how do you stay motivated?
Mm,
How do you keep moving forward? What keeps you driven? What how are you always driven? And it's an answer that would can come instantly, but it's never easy to sustain that long term.
okay.
And for me, what I've learned is as long as the stretch is, as long as the company has grown or whatever, and all the challenge and obstacles, everything comes there. There's always going to be an obstacle that really, like you said, challenges you. And for us was the growth so drastically and dramatically when at one point, you know, you always think this is always going to keep going and going and going and growing and growing, but then you come to a point where you hit a wall. And then you know, we talked about growth and size and everything, and then it's so hard to control everything. And you know, there's 30 plus people and everyone has a brain, so that brain thinks indifferently. And so for me, it's just kind of like, instead of, like you said, the rat race, being the hamster on the wheel, and just every day it was like a running cycle. I came to the understanding of like, I can only control so much,
Mm,
but what I can't control is what I can't control. That's always gonna that's always gonna be like water through your hands. You can't control that. You can't stop that from leaking. But what you could do is control what you could control, which is you can control how fast you get your bids out, you know, to keep the pipeline full. How fast you can, you know, it's all about, and it comes back to structure. How you always taught me, dude, just prioritize things in a manner where what's the most important thing you have to do through the day, hitting 3 to 5 critical tasks a day. So being cleaner, being more structured, being more systematical with the things that I have to get done. What are my duties in order to keep the machine rolling? So instead of being so disorganized and saying, oh, you know, I have this work, I have this work, money's flowing in and everything, instead of just letting it go, like, you know, without so much attention, instead it's paying more attention to like the things that really truly matter, that are my task. And then everything else that I can't control, I just learn to say, you know what, like that's what I can't control that. I'm not gonna beat myself up mentally, or you know, I don't have anything to prove to anyone other than myself. You know, what challenges can I overcome myself, instead of you know, going a specific direction and getting lost in the rabbit hole where I really have no control of.
mm,
So yeah, I mean, you know, back to 2 3 months ago, I mean, we had a conversation, serious conversations, and I was like, bro, this is hard, man. It's mentally draining. It's challenging and everything. And for a lot of people are like, oh, you know, man, Vivid's on top of the game or whatever. Like, no, I mean, I'm sure everyone has those hiccups or those downfalls and everything. And you know, we went through some difficult times, and we're still going through them, and we're overcoming them, and we're just head high, moving forward, ready to solve problems and keep moving forward. You know, I revamped my team, I revamped the structure and everything, and it's just quickly learning how to catch problems and just facing them. Like you said, fear is a big part of everything. And as adults, you're right. Fear, we're humans. We have fear. We fear of the unknown, or we fear failure most of all. Failure, and nowadays failure in front of people, failure in front of like the audience, right? But at the end of the day, what does that matter? No one else is doing what you're doing. So if someone puts yourself in their shoes, in your shoes, no one is doing what you're doing. So that alone, the bravery of whatever you've done or whatever I've done it independently and to however way I've done it. And if people look up to me or people say it's a lot or a little bit, that doesn't matter. I don't control what their thoughts
Mm-hmm.
are. I need to be happy with the journey I've done, with the accomplishments that I've done, whether it's been hard or difficult. But as two kids coming from lower income families where we don't have no good education, no universities, no hand me downs, no
Well, hand me
scholarships,
downs. We had hand me downs for sure.
hand me down of. I
Hand me
mean,
downs, like when you used to get your brother's clothes after it didn't
oh
fit
no
him
no yeah
anymore.
yeah like I mean
Like
like
you had
no
hand me downs.
exactly yeah we had those where we had to fucking and I was a younger brother so yeah
Yeah.
I my older brother had his clothes and
Yeah.
stuff but no yeah I mean we just come from a place where we just got to figure out the trenches bro and we're slowly moving forward and just having that mentality of like relentless you know what I mean like we're talking about that book and it's like
Mm,
just don't give up. I think at the end of the day that's what defines a human being or like you said it separates the men from the boys and it's no wonder why a lot of a high percentage of businesses fail so early on because it's not for everybody, but it's so glorified nowadays that it's like they make it seem like it's eating a piece of pie, but once you get into the realm of things it's like whoa, you get hit with everything and anything that then now you have to become this complete different version of how who you started being and now
yeah.
now what direction you're going. So
Yeah.
I took a lot out of these last few months and I'm just very very excited for the future. I mean it's very it was a different level up for me and for my team, for my people, for everyone around me and we're very excited to what the future holds for us. I mean it's a whole different level of where we were to where we're headed now.
And
So
that's huge.
I don't know if I
No,
explained
you
that the
you
right way.
did a great job explaining that. I as you were talking, I was taking some notes in my head, and your whole understanding of where you were in the past and your understanding of where you're at today is such a big thing because I feel a lot of people in general always try to like blur out the past of mistakes and like not really acknowledge them in the present moment. And for you to be able to say, you know what, the way I was running my business in the past is not effective today
Mm-hmm.
is such a big like understanding of where you're at in general. And for you to say how things were managed in the past was not effective now is like a whole new way of clicking the brain
Mm-hmm.
and your whole insight based off of what you've been doing just tells me that you're in a different place now mentally.
Oh
Like you're
yeah.
in a different area that you know you should have been,
Yeah.
a couple years ago, but I feel like you're in it now, which today is important.
Yeah.
That you're able to manifest with that and connect with that because it takes a lot to just say I don't care. It takes a lot to say I don't have control of this. It does. Because I've found myself in situations too
Yep.
where you try to control everything and you're
It's
all
too
you're
much.
doing is overwhelming yourself. All you're doing
Yeah.
is raising your blood pressure. All you're doing is, older people raising your chances of a freaking heart attack.
Exactly.
Like that's what you're doing in that moment. Like for the things that you don't have control of, let it go. Let the universe or whatever like divine entity you believe in like take control of it. Like, but the stuff that you can control, manage it.
Yep.
Don't overbear it. Just manage it. Be like I always refer back to those times when we were kids and we used to play like store where like we were the bosses of a store.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I always think back to those moments whenever I find myself in situations that are overbearing or great, situations that are good like highlights. I always think back to those moments where I used to think to myself, I'm gonna own a store. I'm the owner of this store right here, and it's just play make believe. But like to think back to those moments for me is good because it just gives me that feeling of like something that I played and didn't take, as a kid you don't not take it too serious, but like as an adult I'm actually in that moment and I'm actually doing it in real life is such
Yeah.
a big big way of viewing it, and I feel like if we're able to just reattach that mentality as we were kids of not caring, of just letting things go and let bygones be bygones and being honest, like so many opportunities arise, dude.
Oh yeah.
So many things arise. Like one of the biggest things that I've been doing lately, and I've only been doing it for like a week, um, is where I've put my face out there for my brand. Like
Yeah.
I am my brand. Like, why am I not showcasing myself to my audience? I don't care if it's 10 people that will see my stuff, 5 people, or 100 people. Someone's going to see it. And I don't know that for what I put as my day to day, like, I try to cover a lot of like the situations that I'm going through business wise.
Correct. Yeah.
I've, lost an SD card on one of your projects, my computer crashed. Like, I've been highlighting a lot of those things and I've been saying like, look, this is life. Like if you're afraid to highlight the fact that, for instance, let's say you're a truck driver and let's say you got in a jam, you're afraid to show that or highlight that because you feel people are in the community are going to make fun of you or something, like
Yeah.
by all means, like you're viewing it differently. And for me to put those stuff in and be vulnerable and be like, look, guys, I fucked up. Like,
Exactly.
I freaking lost an SD card. I had to call the client, had to tell the client, and then now I'm in a situation where guess what? I have to come back and re-record these things because that's where I put myself in.
Yep.
And one of my clients actually, like, they follow my page and they're like, bro, did you make that up? And I was like, no, like I didn't make it up. It was in the moment. Like in that moment that I was planning on making these like stories of my day to days, like I was like, I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my information out there. Whoever wants to hear it will hear it, and whoever doesn't, that's not what I'm here for. And just being open and vulnerable, I don't know. It just taught me. It's been teaching me a lot, and it's hold me accountable too. Like
Exactly.
I feel like just putting myself in front of the camera and talking about like what I'm doing that day or what my strategies are or like ideas, like just kind of holds me accountable because I'll be like, look, there's people listening. Like even like I said, even if it's 5 people, 10 people, whatever the number is,
Yeah.
one person,
Exactly.
there's somebody listening and they're interested in like what my day to day is. Why not put it out there? Like why not let people know how I edit stuff? Why not let people know how I record things? Why not let people know how I manage things? Like what's so difficult about giving that information out? And like as yourself, where you've have gained some growth, like I have gained some growth too, in the social media avenue. I have always been like, I don't want to be in front of the camera.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not the fact that I'm afraid of being in front of a camera. I have no problem speaking in public. I have no problem being in front of a camera. Like that's not an issue. I just feel that I couldn't really connect the dots
Yeah.
to the situation. I'm like, I work in social media. Like I don't want to waste my time. But then I don't actually think about the larger picture. I'm
Exactly.
self-branding myself. I'm putting my name out there. I'm not relying on my clients to get me leads. Like so many things coincide with that situation where like just in a matter of time that I've spent like doing stories and just kind of staying somewhat active on my account, like I have gained a few leads.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even trying to market myself in that aspect. I was just trying to put my information out there. I was just trying to put my, my day-to-day stuff out there. And one of my plans is kind of like also doing like kind of like a day in a life type of thing, like what it's like to be me.
You should.
And to me it's boring. Like to me it's like, yeah, I do it every day. Why does it matter? But to that person that's behind that screen,
Yeah.
who may be in the jam, who may be in the situation I was a few years ago, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, if this guy can do it, and this guy does this normal stuff every day, like I can do it too."
Yep.
I'm not a superstar or anything, but I do feel that like my quality of life can really motivate some people,
Exactly.
and I mean,
And impact.
an impact.
That's the biggest one. It can always impact somebody.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the journey thus far has been great. I honestly don't have anything to complain about yet. I know at some point I will. Usually I'll complain about it to myself first before I start talking about it. But like, dude, this the fortunality of what we've had in this life is like giving us so much that we're just like we don't look at the larger picture of life. Like, think about yourself, your business been in 7 years. Think about yourself 10 years ago. Like, think about that person 10 years ago. Would you ever imagine that you would be in this situation you're in right now, where you have a lot full of trucks, you have a place that you can call your office, like you have a home, you have not, you have a brand new truck and car for yourself and your wife, like, or your fiance, like you have the ability to say, hey, you want to go out to eat tonight, like stuff like that that you wouldn't take for granted in the past. Like, you're viewing it today and you're like, wow, like I'm actually in a good place. Like,
Yeah.
there's people out there literally right now out there just who are struggling, and we're over here crying because like like the dumbest shit. Like, we're crying about the dumbest shit, and there's people out here like really struggling. Like, it's nuts. Like, I
Yeah.
I I, I put myself in that position, and I put myself also in the position of like I'm like I was like in these nice houses a few like a couple days ago, like really nice houses. Like, I'm talking oceanfront homes,
Yeah.
and I'm like in the middle of like being at these places and shooting and recording at these places. I'm like if if like I would never imagine myself being here.
Yeah.
Like, I did not ever imagine that this little freaking knucklehead and dumbass kid from a small town, like, would ever be in a place where like people are allowing me into their freaking $1 million homes
Yeah.
to take photos and videos. Like, whoever thought that I would have the privilege of being able to just do that. And not just being a little fucking dumbass, like also like the situations that I've put myself in
Yeah.
life, and people giving me the trust to say, hey, we want you to take photos and videos of this home because we really like what you do. That took me a while to kind of understand. And then when I was at those homes the other day, I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, this is the reflection of it. It's just like, whoa, it's wild.
You know, the awesome part about like it, just to piggyback on what you're saying, is like just the mindset that I feel like we're built both in right now, and to be able to just be grateful for all the good, wonderful things that have happened in our life, rather than most people just always focus on what they're missing in life
Yeah.
and what they don't have in life currently, or they're not there yet. They haven't got to that goal, or that 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 destination yet,
Mm-hmm.
and they're missing every key component, every blessing that they do have, every like you said, we have all these things that we're grateful for, that we've worked hard for, and for us it's a minor accomplishment, compared to what we were envisioning, but we're very happy that we have what we have. We enjoying that journey every step of the way,
Mm-hmm.
because the mindset is already it's already been reinstated to something different compared to most people. They have certain things, but they're so busy worried about what they don't have, or
Mm-hmm.
what other people have that they don't have, and they're comparing so hard, and their anxiety levels are so high because they're missing A, B, and C. When in reality, like what what are you missing? You have everything, especially if you work hard for something, like you achieve it, you're happy with it. But most people will never find internal happiness because they're always so far from that next shiny obstacle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, man. I mean, we're in a good spot. Um, and at the end of the day, it's just how do you keep it going? How do you
Yeah.
stay driven? How do you
You
keep that?
How to stay grinding.
How do you? I mean,
How to stay
stay
grinding.
grinding, but at the end of the day, words are words, and how do you really keep that flowing? Different environment. You read a different book, but you can only do so much, so
Yeah.
repetitively. How does that? How do you put yourself in a situation where you're like, this is day 20 of doing the same thing again and again, or day 500,
Mm.
because since you started your business, how would you, or what advice would you give to people, like, you know what, um this is what I do, or this is what keeps me on my toes, or do you have those downfall moments where you're like, I'm not even motivated today?
I feel everybody has those downfalls
Mm-hmm.
that you're not motivated. I feel like at least maybe 50% of the week is like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not always like let's hit this,
Yeah.
um but as far as like staying motivated and staying creative, um I got this idea because we usually try to talk to each other about topics before we sit in front of a camera,
Yeah.
or we try to get insight. And I was listening to a podcast. Damn, I don't have it on the top of my head right now. It's a mental health podcast. It's a psychology podcast. What's the name of the damn podcast? Jay Shetty.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if you've heard of him.
Think so.
His name is Jay Shetty. He interviews people, or he has podcasts where he just kind of talks to his audience. And he ends up interviewing a producer who is like super prolific. Like he's the godfather of like hip hop and rock, like music production, like
Okay.
producing. Like his name is Rick Rubin. He's worked with Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, Metallica. You already worked with Metallica. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I was correct. Metallica, Slayer, Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Big names.
System of the Down.
Oh, sure.
All these artists, Mac Miller, like just the who's of genres and styles of music. This guy's probably worked with them, and anybody that does want to work with him, like it's a privilege.
Yeah.
And this guy is just like, if you were to see him, you would not imagine who he is.
Really?
Yeah, like if you were to see the guy, you'd be like, wait, like this guy looks like he's from like Louisiana, and like he looks like like a swamp person.
What's his name?
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin.
So he is all about like he's all about like looking within yourself. And one of the biggest things that he talks about when he is asked, like,
Holy
you
shit.
know, you
You're
just
right, I just saw a picture on like this.
Okay. So he talks about like how, oh, why, how did you do it, like with music? Like his biggest like milestone was the Beastie Boys.
Oh,
You've
okay.
heard of the Beastie Boys?
Yeah, of course.
So the Beastie Boys, when the Beastie Boys went number one, like, that was, he had a part in that. And, he was like, I just, whenever I produced the music with an artist, I just thought to myself, like, if I like it, like, I'm pretty sure my friends will like it.
Yeah.
And that's how he viewed it. He didn't think about, like, is this audience gonna like it? He was just like, I think my friends would like this. Like, I like this. Like, I'd listen to this. Like, I'm pretty sure my friends will listen to it too.
Simplified it.
Yeah, he stayed in that small bubble of thinking, like that way of thinking, like. And like sometimes we kind of, especially in the world we live in, this social media realm, where like we're so focused on the eyeballs and how many views and likes and comments and shares and messages that we get. Everyone's so,
Yeah.
I mean, people are more willing to gain that than actually gain, some other stuff that, and just to like, piggyback on what I was just saying, like to just be able to just say, look, if the certain amount of people that I actually care about actually are genuinely saying like, hey, we really like your work, your stuff is great, or these small amount of clients that you do get, like that's all that really matters. You shouldn't be worried about the like 10x people that you should like that you'll never see in your life, or the trolls that are commenting on your crap and giving you feedback that's gonna make you feel insecure or bad about yourself. Just focus on the people around you, and focus on the people that you should care about. Like, just focus on them, and if they like your work, then guess what? The next 100 people will probably like it too.
Exactly.
So, to go back on the whole creative aspect and staying motivated, he's being interviewed by Jay Shetty, and one of his questions is that, like, how do you stay working with so many different artists, because he works with different artists from different genres and stuff. Like, what are things that you and these artists would do to stay creative? And some of the suggestions he said was, one of them was that they recorded outside of a recording studio, they practiced music in the car, they would find distractions. So I kind of entailed that with myself. I was like, how do I stay creative? How do I keep that energy? And one of the biggest things that I have learned from that experience of listening to that podcast and listening to Rick Rubin himself is like finding distractions from what you're doing, but then going back to that. Because there's distractions, and then there's what's the other one? Procrastinating. Procrastinating.
Yeah.
So a distraction is, let's say you're working on a bid. You're working on a bid. You've been working on a bid for an hour, almost 2 hours at this point, and you mentally you're like, I got another 2 hours. So in that moment of, like, let's say the halfway point, you're already overwhelmed. You're not even thinking straight anymore. You're kind of just like, I want to get the hell out of here. Instead of just, pushing it through, you step away from the office for 5-10 minutes. Maybe you walk down the block. Maybe you check on the other office area. You find a distraction, a productive distraction. I'm not saying like go on your phone and just search. I mean, you can find motivation through scrolling through social media.
Yeah.
I mean, 50% of the time, let's be honest. The other 50, you're just bullshitting.
Exactly.
I find myself in that scenario too. But like a positive distraction.
Okay.
Maybe you go outside to the back and you say you have a truck or two, and you just kind of open the trucks and be like, make sure that all the material's here, And then by the time you come back to the bid, your mind's more refreshed.
Yeah.
You're at a different place. You're thinking different. Your mind is different. And that's how I feel I've been taking on like a lot of my work currently, is where I'll work for a few hours, 2-3 hours, maybe 1 or 2-3 hours. To be honest, it just depends. I just kind of feel how my body is at the moment. And then I'll step away. Maybe I'll walk the dog. Maybe I'll go upstairs, see what my wife's doing. Maybe I'll have a snack. Or maybe I'll build something in the house. Or maybe I'll move on to a different project that has nothing to do with the one that I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
And just those 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes of just like refresher just kind of like changes everything for you, and it puts you in a different position. The distraction aspect for me is like, but don't allow that distraction to take control, because that's where procrastination comes in. That's where, we're scrolling through social media and we're like,
an hour goes by, 2 hours.
An hour goes by and you're like, whoa, what have I, oh man, like, and then you beat yourself up and you're, this whole scenario that you could put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
But that's procrastination, when you're consciously avoiding something on purpose. And I feel like distracting yourself is just saying, I'm putting this aside. I will come back to it. Let me just focus on a new task that will refresh my brain. It has nothing to do with it. Think about nothing to do with it. You shouldn't be working on a bid and then all of a sudden you start another bid, because that's procrastination within itself. But I'm saying, like, you work on a bid and then you're like, you know what? I got a vacuum here. Let me vacuum the floor real quick. Just to change the brain. I don't know. Give it a try.
Like a quick disconnect.
Yeah, listeners, give it a try. I highly suggest it. It's worked out for me. Like, I'll be working on a video, and then I have to make another one. And I have to make another one. But in between each video that I make, I give myself 20-30 minutes of just a different task.
Yeah.
Not 20-30 actually. Maybe like 10-15 minutes of a different task. And just like when I come back to my desk, I step away from my desk, because I'm on my desk. If not, I'm on my desk, I'm on the field recording. So so I step away from my desk. Sometimes I used to have lunch on my desk. I don't do that anymore. And I step away and I just like, everything kind of just feels different. Come back in, I'm re-motivated to edit another video.
Yeah.
So it's just like that for me has helped and has taught me like a different way of scoping. Like instead of just like, I know it's like everyone's like just power through, power through, power through. Yeah, power through. Go ahead, by all means, power through. But don't forget about your mental state. And
Yeah.
don't just power through just to power through. Have a reason behind powering through. Even if, like I said, you're gonna take 5 minutes off just to reevaluate the situation, give it a shot. It'll change your perspective. It'll change the way you view the whole scenario. It'll change so many things. And if it doesn't, then write a comment at the bottom and say you're full of shit. It didn't change anything. So that's how I view trying to stay motivated and trying to stay creative
Yeah.
when you're repetitively doing the same thing. Because I do a lot of the same work. A lot of my clients are in the construction industry. I only have, I have two other clients that are outside of the construction industry,
Mm-hmm.
but like the overall, a third of what I do is just construction base, landscaping, whatever. So it does get a little repetitive. It does get a little like, so here we go again, another
Yeah.
transformation video or another final project. Like it does get a little bit, but just, you know, taking those moments throughout the day to just kind of like
It's gonna. Yeah.
breath, disconnect. I go on my phone. I go on social media. I'll go on Instagram. I'll look at you know some nice videos that people posted when that they created, and I'll get some motivation from it.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll listen to a quote. Sometimes you'll listen to those quotes and you're just like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Or somebody will like show themselves in front of a camera and be like, X, Y, and Z. This is how you get there. Those are
Yeah.
those are helpful in that situation. But like, that is what's helped me thus far. I don't know about yourself. I don't know what things you do to kind of help you stay motivated because you've been around for 7 years. So that's a big cue. Like, how have you stayed motivated? How have you stayed, creative in the moment?
I mean, for me, you're right. I mean, 7 years, is not a long time, but for some it is a long time. But I feel more than anything, um, it's just the new obstacles that arise. It's just every phase that you go through, it's requiring always a level up. So, um, like if I'm doing bids all day, like you're right, it could get boring. Or like today that I went like literally drove around for 6 hours looking at properties, to put a bid on it. That shit gets boring.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like always reaching for the next goal, or always reaching towards that next opportunity can become motivating, to say, you know what, um, I want to get here. I want to get here. I want to get there. Um, yeah, it's boring, but I gotta make it happen. And at the same time, it's always easy to say, oh, I do it for my kids, oh, I do it for my family, oh, I do it for my team. But at the end of the day, how, like you as a person, how will I motivate myself? It's just one-on-one conversations, man. It's like,
Yeah.
bro, just get it done. Just do it. Just make it happen. Because at the end of the day, yeah, I can have a whole list of people that I wanna do this for. But when you're sitting here, or when we're sitting behind the computer and we're trying to get it done, and it's boring as fuck, and this is the 20th estimate I've sent it the week. It's only you versus you in your mind.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, it's all mental. It's all mental talk. It's all motivation talk to yourself. Because like they say, if you don't motivate yourself, who's gonna motivate you, bro? We don't have a bid here with a hype man behind us like, hey, come on, get it done, go get it. It's
Unless you pay them.
well, I mean, yeah, we'll get there one day, right? We'll get there. We'll have a hype man, just cheering us on. Hey, let's get this done. But meanwhile, it's my fiance comes back here in this back office and she's like, Jose, it's so freaking depressing back here. Why are you all by yourself? Like, this is like, how do you? I'm just like, I don't. You think so? Like, I look around. I'm like, well, I mean, it's quiet. I need quiet. I like
Mm.
quiet. I can focus. you're right. Social media, when I do take a quick disconnect, it's a double sided sword, man. Sometimes you just like you drain into this shit, or
Mhm.
sometimes you just like pick something up. I listen to a good song or whatever, and it's just like boom. So sometimes it's like, how do you feed yourself whatever you can feed yourself to just respark that fire?
Mhm.
Whatever it is, whether you look at a picture of your kid, whether you look at, a picture of your accomplishments, or if I watch my own video for Vivid, the good work that you do, it just resparks that fire. And it's all about what you could keep adding to your fire,
Mm.
adding more wood to the fire to keep the spark going. And I think at the end of the day, it's only a self-sabotaging thing. Like, what can you do with yourself and your mindset to keep flowing?
Yeah.
Because no one else is gonna do it. Like, you know, e- even I think, even like the biggest of creatives, big YouTube Mr. Beast, and like, you want to talk about big, how do they stay so? Well, now at this point they have a whole team. They have a whole. They can afford a whole fucking team that just are constantly being creative for them.
Yeah.
And now they're like the face of this and everything else. We're a one man team still, when it becomes to creativity and motivation and discipline. So at the end of the day, is looking in the mirror and saying, one more day, man. Let's fight for today. One more day.
You're a beast. I tell
Yeah.
myself you're a beast.
There you go.
That's what I tell myself.
That's what it should be.
Yeah. I mean, we're like you said, we're our own cheerleaders, to be honest.
Yep.
And one thing that I have been learning in this game we call business is that everybody is focused on their own business, and business is a selfish game. Like,
It is.
business is a selfish game. Every guy is worried about themselves, every guy or woman, you know, and they're only looking for ways to kind of benefit themselves and their family. So you have to view it that way too, Like, don't wait on somebody to kind of motivate you. Don't wait on somebody to say, "Hey, you can do it." Like, yeah, that's fine. There is going to be people out there like that. But don't always rely on that energy. Figure out how you can motivate yourself. Figure out how you can tell yourself you can do it, you know? Because that's more important, because when everything is quiet and shut,
Yep.
that's when it matters. When you're waking up that morning and you don't want to get up and you don't want to go to work, or you don't want to, you don't want to face the day, the only person that's going to say, "You got to do it, come on," is yourself.
Yep.
I mean, or your wife or husband. What the fuck are you doing? Got to pay bills. Like,
Yeah.
So it's like, that's it. That's the biggest thing, you've clearly said, motivate yourself, figure out challenges. Like, you're motivated and stay motivated and creative by the new challenges that you have.
Yep.
And then for me, I stay motivated and created by finding distractions and things that will reignite that click in my brain. So it's entirely up to you as the listener, entirely up to the viewers, however you want to digest that. We do appreciate that we do have somewhat of a following. I mean, where we were previously when we first thought of this idea is not where we are today. Like,
It isn't.
it's crazy to really think about that. And then where we started this new chapter of the podcast is not where we were, or it's not where we are today. Like,
Yeah.
so many things have shifted and changed. Like, so many things have happened in the last couple of months and years that have brought us today to where we're at. And sometimes we have to be grateful for them. And
Yep.
sometimes we have to be motivated by it. Like, I'm super motivated by my milestones. So I have to remind myself. There's times where I remind myself. Like, I'm like, you get the luxury to wake up in the morning and go to the gym, or, go train. Like, you have that luxury. There's people who don't. People have to wake up, go to work, but they don't have to. It's because they choose to.
Yeah.
You can wake up in the morning and go train or go work out. You have to wake up an hour earlier. I mean, you yourself are stopping yourself from achieving goals.
Yep.
And it's always like, what's the secret formula to any success or to whatever? And everyone's always trying to find the secret formula or cheat their way up. There's a lot of people who cheat their way up. You see them to slowly crumble through time. But at the end of the day, the hard work pays off the best, and the consistency and the self-motivation will get you so far that you won't even believe it by the time you get there.
Yep.
Like, we're here because of these things. We stayed content, we stayed motivated, and we stayed consistent. Whether we want to accept it or not, we've been consistent. Like, you wake up every single day and I have to run this business. Yeah. I've waked up every single day and I have to start this business. I have to run this business now. Like, you know, we've been in those positions and we're continuously in those positions. You know, and for those people who are listening and who are in that situation where, one, they're just starting, or two, they haven't even started and they're thinking about it, the only person that's stopping you is yourself.
Exactly.
That's it.
No one else.
No one else. Unless you're with somebody who's not motivating you and doesn't believe in you, that may be the person that's stopping you. Who knows? But overall, the only people or thing or species is yourself. That's it. And if you stay content, you stay motivated, stay relentless, disciplined. There's just very handful of things that you just need to focus on. You'll get to that point that you want to get to. And then when you get to that point, you're going to be like, "Oh man, I'm here. What do I do now?"
Exactly.
That's a new thing that you're going to have to face and deal with. You know,
there'll always be something to do.
Yeah.
I feel like when you get there and you're like, what's next? There's always something that's next.
Yep.
Because the journey brings in a whole new package of things that you need to do or problems that you need to solve. And then you just become this whole person of problem solving.
Yeah.
Not only for yourself, for your team, for your family, for it comes with a bigger package.
You start to become more of a calculated thinker.
Exactly.
You don't really spaz out as much for situations. Certain situations you still spaz. I still spaz out for a lot of situations. But at least in general, you become more of a calculative thinker. And I feel like as business owners, whether you have developed that skill early on or still developing it today, a calculative way of thinking is going to be effective in general. You know, for your situation, let's say one of your guys quits in the middle of the freaking, the middle of the day. Like, what's your reaction going to be like? You're not going to be like, "Hey man, wait, don't go." Like, you're going to be like, "Okay, I'm down a guy now. I have to think about tomorrow. I think about the following week. Let me contact him. Let me make sure he's okay. Figure out why there's so many options and so many things you think about. So becoming a calculative thinker is also effective in this situation, and it has helped. Like you said, you mean of how you face certain things. So thank you everybody for listening. I don't know if you have any more last words to say.
Nope.
No,
we're good.
Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, whatever the case is. We're not doing this for money. We're not sitting back here and crossing our finger.
We're not doing this for money?
No, we're not doing this for money anymore. We were doing it before. We're trying to see how much money we can make, but just kidding. We're not doing this for any financial compensation. We're just doing it because we feel and think that people may be interested in our lives. We get reached out. He gets reached out a lot. A
little bit.
Like it's people actually care about his life and people care about mine. Like they want to know our opinions and they want to know where we stand. And we're grateful for the people that have continued to listen. And, thanks for being part of the journey. Thanks for being a part of our growth. Please share your growth to us. Tell us about your own growth and your own journeys. We want to hear about it. It's motivating to know that we're actually touching people, that we're motivating people. It's for us. It's like, that is the compensation that we want out of this. Like, today's a Saturday. Like today's a Saturday. Like today's a Saturday. I don't work Saturdays. I know he still works Saturdays. I don't know why I don't know why he's working Saturdays, but I don't work Saturdays. So it's we're here because we want to be here. So yeah.
Right on. All right, guys. Well, thanks. That's it. It's a wrap. Appreciate everybody for listening and hope you guys found some value in this. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Stay shining, stay grinding.
There you go.